The humming of the engines filled the cavernous hall of the alien mothership, a sound so low and constant that it felt like the ship itself was breathing. Light glimmered across polished metal surfaces, reflecting in colors humans could barely name. This was the heart of the fleet, the place where the alien queen resided, a being revered and feared across multiple star systems. Every step here carried a weight of authority. Marcus Kane crouched behind a support beam, his palms sweaty, his toolkit clutched tightly. He had never imagined he would find himself aboard the flagship of an alien empire, let alone inside the chamber of its ruler. His mission, initially supposed to be a simple reconnaissance, had become something far more dangerous. One careless mistake, one wrong step, and he would not walk back to the shuttle alive. He glanced at the console he had just finished examining. It was a marvel of engineering, unlike anything human technology had ever produced. Light and energy flowed through it like rivers of liquid crystal. Marcus had touched the control interface just long enough to test the calibration, and that small action had triggered the ship's alert systems. The warning lights had flashed a soft red at first, almost gentle, but now the red pulsed, filling the hull with tension. Security drones moved silently across the floor, their mechanical limbs clicking softly, scanning every corner. Marcus knew the Queen's patrols would arrive soon, and when they did, no human had ever emerged unscathed. A voice rang out suddenly, clear and commanding, echoing through the hall. It was deep, resonant, and had a strange musical quality that made every listener feel both awe and fear. "Who touched my suit?" The words sent a chill down Marcus's spine. They were not directed at him specifically, yet he knew they meant him. He froze, holding his breath. The room seemed to shrink as the Queen's presence, unseen but felt, filled the space. Moments later, security drones gathered near the center of the chamber, their sensors scanning. A faint hum accompanied them, a sound Marcus recognized from the schematics he had studied. These were not ordinary machines, they were extensions of the Queen's own awareness. They could detect the smallest touch, the slightest movement. Marcus gritted his teeth. He had to make a decision quickly, hide and risk being found, or step forward and face the impossible. The first of the Queen's attendants arrived then, a tall alien with arms ending in delicate, multi-jointed fingers. Its skin shimmered like liquid silver, and its eyes were large, dark, and completely unblinking. It surveyed the room with a mixture of suspicion and irritation, then tilted its head as if sensing the presence of the intruder. Marcus felt a bead of sweat roll down his temple. He knew hiding was no longer an option. Every instinct in him screamed to run. But another voice, one far stronger, urged him to stand his ground. He had trained for moments like this. Though never in the presence of a creature like the alien Queen, he stepped out slowly, hands raised in a gesture of peace. I'm the one who touched it," he said, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the soft hum of the ship. Then, the Queen's voice came again, now closer, as though she had moved to observe him directly. "You dare admit it?" The words were more curiosity than anger, but the weight behind them made Marcus feel smaller than he had ever felt in his life. "Yes," he replied, swallowing. "I'm a human engineer. I only wanted to study your technology. To understand it." There was a pause, a silence that stretched so long it felt like time itself had stopped. The Queen's attendants whispered to each other in a language Marcus did not understand, their words flowing like music. But he did not flinch. He had made his choice, and he would not retract it. Finally, the Queen's voice spoke again. "Curiosity is dangerous, especially for your kind." Marcus met the invisible gaze of the Queen and replied, "I know the risk, but I also know the danger in your systems. There's a flaw. If it isn't corrected, it could destroy your fleet." At that, the Queen's tone shifted slightly, a note of interest creeping in. "A human warns me of danger? Fascinating." Security drones stepped closer, their lights scanning Marcus from every angle. He could feel their sensors probing, analyzing his very being. But he remained calm, even as his mind raced. He had only one chance to prove himself worthy, and it would begin with his words, "My species. Humans," he continued, "we are not the strongest. We are not the fastest, but we learn, we adapt, and sometimes that makes us dangerous in ways you cannot predict. The Queen's presence seemed to ripple through the hall, a subtle vibration that made the metal floor hum beneath his feet. Marcus felt a strange sensation, as if she was measuring him, not just his body, but his mind, his intentions, his courage. "You have touched what no one else may touch," she said finally. "And yet you stand before me without fear." Marcus nodded. "Because I believe understanding is more important than fear. I want to help." A faint sound, almost like a chuckle, resonated through the hall. The Queen had never laughed before in recorded history, and Marcus's heart skipped a beat. To have caught even a hint of amusement from her was a sign and indication that she was curious, and perhaps even willing to test him further. Then, without warning, a loud alarm blared through the chamber. A section of the hull displayed a warning light, subsystem instability detected. Marcus's eyes widened. His warnings had not been ignored. The flaw he had identified was real, and it was already showing signs of stress. The Queen's voice rang out again, sharper this time. "Explain." Marcus stepped forward, pointing to the glowing console. "The energy flow in the core is unstable. If the currents are not redirected, it could trigger a chain reaction. I can fix it, but I need access." There was silence again. The attendants moved closer, their movements synchronized and precise, watching Marcus as if he were a puzzle to be solved. Finally, the Queen spoke. "Access will be granted, but only if you prove you are worthy of touching what you have touched. Demonstrate your skill, human." Marcus swallowed hard. His chance had come not just to survive, but to prove humanity's unique value. He nodded, gripping his toolkit tighter. He had no idea how the Queen's trials would unfold, only that they would test every ounce of his skill, his wit, and his courage. The hum of the ship seemed to grow louder, and Marcus could feel the weight of the Queen's gaze on him. For the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to be truly alive in the presence of something greater than himself. With a deep breath, he began moving toward the console, his hands steady, his mind focused. The chamber was alive with anticipation, the air vibrating with the unspoken question: could a human engineer, fragile and untested, really stand among the galaxy's most advanced beings and succeed? Marcus didn't know, but he was about to find out. And somewhere deep within the mothership, the alien Queen watched, curious, her questions unspoken but powerful. Who's this human, and what will he do next? The hum of the mothership had shifted from a steady rhythm to a tense vibration, as if the entire vessel was aware of Marcus Kane's presence. He stood before the glowing console, toolkit in hand, every sense alert. The Queen's gaze seemed to penetrate the very metal walls, her curiosity sharp and unyielding. Marcus took a deep breath. He had made the bold choice to reveal himself to the Queen, and now the weight of that decision pressed on him like gravity. But fear had been replaced by a strange clarity. This was not the moment to falter. This was the moment to show humanity's value. "You have come far," the Queen's voice intoned, soft yet commanding, "and yet you are untested. Explain yourself, human. Why should I allow you to touch my technology?" Marcus swallowed and squared his shoulders. "I am not here to steal or destroy. I am here to help. I've studied your systems, and I have seen a flaw, one that could endanger your fleet if left unchecked." There was silence. Even the drones paused, hovering slightly above the floor as though holding their breath. Marcus could feel the eyes of the entire chamber on him, watching, calculating. His words were dangerous. Any misstep could provoke the Queen's wrath. Yet he spoke with certainty, because he believed it. Humans are not the strongest, nor the fastest. Marcus continued, "But we learn quickly. We adapt. And sometimes, that is the advantage." The Queen's hum of interest echoed through the hall. It was subtle, but Marcus recognized it from the recordings he had studied. The Queen rarely responded to words alone. Curiosity was a rare trait among her species. And now, she had it. "You claim to understand what you touch," she said. "Then demonstrate it. Show me that your kind can think beyond instinct and repetition." Marcus felt his pulse quicken. This was more than a challenge, it was an invitation. An opportunity to prove that humans could do what even the galaxy's most advanced beings might fail to attempt. He knelt by the console, studying the flowing currents of energy. The core system shimmered like liquid light, delicate and precise. Marcus had only a rough understanding of alien engineering principles, but he had learned enough to read the patterns, to anticipate the flow. The instability he had detected earlier was subtle but dangerous. If ignored, it could cascade, damaging the mothership and potentially destroying others in the fleet. Marcus began making adjustments, carefully recalibrating the energy conduits. His hands moved with practiced precision, his toolkit a natural extension of his mind. He worked quickly but cautiously, knowing that a single wrong move could trigger the very disaster he sought to prevent. "You touch my technology with confidence," the Queen said, her voice closer now, almost hovering behind him. "Yet you are fragile, a single human among billions. Why should I trust that your touch will not destroy what you claim to understand?" Marcus did not flinch. "Because I have learned to observe, to think creatively, to anticipate failure and adapt. That is what humans do every day, everywhere we go. We survive not by strength alone, but by ingenuity." For a moment, the room was silent again. The Queen's attendants exchanged glances, their movements synchronized and precise. A silent debate carried out through gestures and hums. Marcus ignored them. His focus was on the energy flow, on stabilizing the system. Hours could have passed, though it felt like minutes. The mothership's hum shifted again, a rising vibration that made Marcus's teeth chatter slightly. The currents were unpredictable, alive in a way he had never experienced in human systems. But slowly, carefully, he found the pattern. Each adjustment he made brought stability, each recalibration a small victory. Finally, the energy flow steadied. The warning lights dimmed, replaced by a gentle green glow. The drones hovered back, their sensors analyzing, confirming that the core was now stable. Marcus straightened, wiping sweat from his brow. The Queen's voice resonated again, softer this time. "You have done what many of my own engineers could not. Perhaps your kind is more capable than I believed." Marcus bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. But the work is not finished. The flaw is fixed for now, but the system remains delicate. I can help you strengthen it permanently, if allowed." A faint vibration of amusement echoed through the chamber. "You speak with humility, yet with confidence," the Queen observed. "A rare combination. Most beings tremble before my presence. You do not. Why?" Marcus hesitated, then spoke honestly. "Because I have seen fear before, but I have also seen opportunity. And sometimes, courage is not the absence of fear, it is the choice to act despite it. I act because your fleet, your people, all life aboard this ship is worth protecting." The Queen's silence was almost unbearable. Even the hum of the mothership seemed to pause. Then, slowly, she spoke, her words deliberate. "Perhaps humans have value beyond what we imagined. Perhaps your kind is unusual." Marcus's heart skipped a beat. This was more than acknowledgement. This was respect. A rare gift, rarely given, even among her own species. "Unusual, yes," he replied with a small smile. "But sometimes unusual is exactly what is needed." The Queen's light shimmered faintly, a visual sign of her emotion, or at least, Marcus believed it was. "You will remain under observation," she said. "Your actions today have saved the fleet, but I am not yet convinced you are fully trustworthy." "I understand," Marcus said, "and I am ready for any test you choose to set." The drones moved aside, creating a path for him deeper into the chamber. Marcus noticed the intricate design of the hall. The walls were lined with panels that pulsed with energy, their patterns flowing like a river of stars. Each panel seemed to hum with a purpose, and he realized that every inch of this mothership was alive with information waiting to be understood. The Queen's voice echoed once more, guiding him. "Then prove your worth, human. Show me that you are more than what I expected. Show me that your curiosity and skill are worthy of the technology you dare to touch." Marcus nodded. His mind raced with ideas, strategies, and calculations. He knew that the coming trial would test not only his engineering skill but his ingenuity, his courage, and his ability to think like a being far beyond human comprehension. He took a deep breath and began walking toward the central hub of the chamber, where the core systems converged. The path was lined with alien machinery of unimaginable complexity, their functions unclear but undeniably vital. Every step was careful, precise, yet confident. The Queen's voice followed him, a constant presence. Do not fail, human. If you fail, the consequences will not be yours alone. The fleet, your life. Everything may be lost. Marcus nodded silently. The stakes were high, but the challenge thrilled him. He had always believed humans had something unique, a spark of creativity, courage, and determination that could overcome even the most impossible odds. And now, the universe itself was giving him a chance to prove it. As he reached the hub, the energy panels pulsed brighter, almost as if responding to his presence. The Queen watched, silent but attentive. Marcus placed his hands on the controls, feeling the flow of energy beneath his fingers. It was complex, alive, and dangerous, but he understood it. He could feel the rhythm, the patterns, the hidden flaws, and for the first time in his life, Marcus realized that he was not just a visitor aboard the mothership. He was a participant in something much larger than himself. The Queen's challenge was not just a test of skill, it was a test of humanity's potential. He smiled faintly to himself. This was only the beginning. And somewhere, deep within the vessel, the Queen observed, her curiosity growing. Who is this human, and how far will he go? The hum of the mothership seemed to intensify as Marcus approached the heart of the chamber, where the Queen's challenge awaited. The walls around him were lined with alien technology so advanced that even a seasoned engineer like Marcus had difficulty comprehending it. The air itself felt charged, as if the very environment was alive, watching, waiting. The Queen had made her intentions clear. He would be tested, and his survival, his place aboard the ship, depended on his ability to succeed. Marcus had expected to face complex systems and machinery, but nothing could have prepared him for what lay ahead. In the center of the chamber stood a large, circular platform, covered in a shimmering, translucent material. Holographic displays flickered to life as he approached, showing intricate patterns of energy flow, vast networks of power conduits, and a holographic projection of the mothership itself. Welcome to your trial, human. The Queen's voice resonated, deep and commanding. This is the core of my ship. It runs on systems beyond the comprehension of your species. But I am willing to give you a chance to prove your worth. Solve the problems within the core, and you will have my respect. Marcus glanced at the swirling data streams, trying to make sense of it all. He had spent his life working with human technology, stuff he could understand, stuff he could fix. But this was something else entirely. The complexity of it nearly overwhelmed him. Do not waste my time, human. The Queen's voice cut through his thoughts, sharp and focused. Begin. Marcus took a deep breath. He knew this was his moment, his one shot. He had to prove to the Queen, to herself, and to every alien watching, that humans were capable of more than just survival. They were capable of ingenuity, of solving problems that no one else could. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the shimmering platform. The moment his fingers made contact, the holograms around him shifted, the patterns flowing faster, their colors changing from blue to red. The platform beneath him vibrated gently, and a deep, rumbling sound filled the room. Your task is simple, yet complex, the Queen's voice echoed. You will need to stabilize the core of this ship. But beware, the systems are connected. One wrong move, and you could trigger a cascade failure that will destroy us all. Marcus's heart pounded. He had known the risk. The flaw he had discovered earlier was only the beginning. The core was unstable, and if it wasn't repaired, the entire ship could be lost. He scanned the holograms, his eyes moving rapidly over the data streams, trying to find the point of failure. The patterns were chaotic, constantly shifting, as though the ship itself was alive, testing him. He reached for his toolkit, pulling out a small device that would allow him to interface directly with the system. As his hands worked, the holograms flickered again, showing symbols and equations that were alien to him. He had never seen anything like it before. Can you solve this, human? The Queen's voice was low now, almost mocking. Or will you fail, like so many others? Marcus clenched his jaw, refusing to be intimidated. He had been faced with difficult problems before. This wasn't just about the technology, it was about understanding the underlying principles. He closed his eyes for a moment, focusing on the rhythm of the energy flow, letting his mind settle. The answers were there, he just had to find them. A series of glowing symbols flashed across the holographic display, each one connected to the others by thin lines of energy. Marcus studied them closely. He had no idea what they meant, but they weren't random. There was a pattern in the chaos, a structure beneath the surface. He followed the lines, tracing their connections, and slowly, he began to see the flaw. The energy conduits were misaligned, creating feedback loops that caused instability in the core. But what puzzled him was the way the ship's systems seemed to be compensating for it. The ship wasn't just malfunctioning, it was actively trying to adapt, to heal itself. The thought struck him, this wasn't just advanced engineering. This was living technology, responding to external stimuli, adjusting in real time. This isn't just a machine, Marcus muttered under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. It's a symbiosis. It's alive. His fingers moved quickly, pressing buttons on his device as he interfaced with the holograms. The energy patterns began to shift again, more slowly this time, and Marcus took note of every detail. He wasn't just fixing a machine. He was learning how it worked, understanding its behavior, almost like learning a new language. I've got it, Marcus said quietly. He made his move, rerouting the energy flow, carefully balancing the system to absorb the excess power without triggering a failure. The platform beneath him hummed, then flickered as the data stabilized. The symbols on the holograms aligned perfectly, the feedback loops smoothed out, and the core's energy flow began to normalize. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Marcus held his breath, waiting for the inevitable alarm, for the flashing red lights that would signal failure. But instead, the glow of the platform softened, turning a steady blue. The rumbling sound ceased, and the flickering holograms settled into a calm, orderly display. Well done, human, the Queen's voice said, this time not mocking but measured, almost approving. You have stabilized the core. For now, Marcus let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. He wiped his forehead, trying to ignore the slight tremble in his hands. He had done it. He had proven that he could fix what the aliens themselves could not. But he knew the Queen wasn't finished with him yet. This trial had been only the first step. The holograms flickered again, showing a new set of data. The Queen's voice was colder now, more commanding. This was the easy part. Now, I will test your true worth. This ship's systems are connected to its weaponry. If you truly understand the complexity of this vessel, you will be able to bypass the security protocols and access its defensive systems. But beware, failing this task will have consequences. Marcus's stomach tightened. Weapons. The thought of messing with alien weaponry made his heart race, but he had no choice. The Queen had made it clear that this was his moment to prove humanity's worth. He glanced at the new data stream. The weapon systems were even more complicated than the core. Each layer was encrypted, each defense protocol more advanced than the last. But Marcus had learned something invaluable from his previous task: patience and focus. The patterns were there, hidden beneath layers of security, just waiting to be understood for hours. Marcus worked. His hands moved quickly over the console, reprogramming, adjusting, overriding. He could feel the pressure mounting with every move, but he kept going. There was no turning back now. The fate of the mothership, and possibly his life, depended on his ability to outthink this system. Finally, he reached the last layer of encryption. His fingers hovered over the controls, hesitating for a moment. If he made a mistake now, it would be the end. The entire ship could lock down, trapping him in this chamber. And the Queen would never forgive him. But he knew the answer was within his grasp. With a steady hand, he input the final code. The system accepted it. The weapons systems were now fully accessible. Marcus stared at the screen, his heart pounding in his chest. The ship's defenses were now under his control. He had done it. Well done, human. The Queen's voice echoed, more impressed than before. You have proven your skill, your ingenuity. I underestimated you." Marcus couldn't help but smile, though the tension in his body hadn't fully eased. He had faced the impossible and come out on top, but he knew the Queen was not one to offer praise lightly. This was just the beginning. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." The Queen was silent for a moment, and then, in a tone that sent a chill down Marcus's spine, she spoke again. "You are not just an engineer. Human. You are something far more dangerous. And for that, you will be tested further." Marcus's smile faded as he wondered what the Queen's next challenge would be. But one thing was clear: he had proven that humans were capable of facing the impossible. Now, all that remained was to see how far that capability would take him. The chamber hummed with a strange energy, alive and pulsing like a living creature. Marcus Kane stood at the center, surrounded by alien machinery he still barely understood. Yet he felt a growing confidence. He had already stabilized the core and gained access to the mothership's defensive systems. But the Queen's words still echoed in his mind. "You are something far more dangerous. And for that, you will be tested further." Marcus didn't know what she meant by dangerous, but he was beginning to understand that humans were not judged only by strength or speed. Humans had ingenuity, adaptability, and a way of seeing solutions others could not. That was his advantage, and it was what had brought him this far. Suddenly, a soft vibration ran through the floor beneath him. The holographic displays shifted, showing new patterns, a warning of instability in the ship's energy lattice. Marcus frowned. This was not part of the earlier trial. This was new. He instinctively recognized the danger. "The core is fine," he muttered to himself, "but the lattice. If this fails, it could cascade through the entire ship." The Queen's voice reverberated through the chamber, calm but with a sharp undertone. "You see it, now act. Humans often boast about ingenuity. Let us see if it is true." Marcus approached the lattice interface, a series of floating panels connected by luminous streams of energy. The system was enormous, more complex than anything he had ever encountered. It seemed impossible for a single human to solve. But Marcus took a deep breath. He started by observing the flow of energy, tracing its path through the lattice. The streams twisted and split, following patterns that were sophisticated beyond comprehension. But beneath the complexity, he sensed a rhythm, a pattern that suggested the lattice was compensating for a hidden flaw. It was clever, almost alive, but not perfect. Marcus worked quickly, his mind running faster than his hands. He adjusted the flow, rerouting energy through alternate pathways to relieve stress on the most critical nodes. A faint pulse ran through the panels as the system responded. He smiled slightly. This was the human advantage: observation, adaptation, and quick action. "Do not presume this will be easy," the Queen warned. "The lattice is ancient, its design perfected over countless cycles. One wrong move and..." She didn't finish the sentence, but Marcus didn't need her to. He knew the risk. A single miscalculation could destabilize the ship. But Marcus also knew that hesitation could be just as deadly. Humans had a tendency to leap where others paused, to act when others analyzed endlessly. That was his edge. He focused, shutting out everything else. Time seemed to stretch as he traced the energy patterns, making minor adjustments, watching how the lattice reacted. Slowly, the streams began to stabilize, flowing in a smooth, controlled rhythm. Marcus allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction. He was beginning to understand it. But then a warning flashed across the holograms. "External interference detected." Marcus froze. Something or someone was interacting with the lattice from outside the ship. That was impossible. At least, it should have been. The mothership was considered impregnable. Yet here was proof that a flaw had opened a doorway for interference. He quickly traced the signals, following the faint energy trails. To his astonishment, they led not to a weapon or enemy ship, but to an internal feedback loop, an error in the lattice itself that had been dormant until now. The system had been trying to correct itself automatically, but it was insufficient. Marcus realized the truth. The aliens had perfected technology that could almost heal itself, but it lacked one thing humans possessed: intuition. Machines and patterns could correct predictable errors, but humans could anticipate failure before it happened. "I've got to fix this," he whispered. He moved faster now, rerouting power and adjusting the lattice's feedback mechanisms. Every movement had to be precise, every calculation exact. But he didn't panic. He didn't second-guess. He relied on observation, on creativity, on the ability to see solutions hidden in chaos. Hours passed or maybe minutes. Time seemed irrelevant inside the humming chamber. The lattice trembled, pulsed, and then began to stabilize. Marcus adjusted one final node, holding his breath as the streams aligned perfectly. The system shimmered, then settled into a calm, controlled flow. A soft hum of acknowledgement ran through the ship, and Marcus realized something extraordinary. The lattice, once flawed, was now more stable than it had been in centuries. He had not just repaired it, he had improved it. The Queen's voice broke the silence, filled with something Marcus had never heard before: admiration. "You have done what none of my engineers could. You have not only repaired, but enhanced. Explain yourself, human. How is this possible?" Marcus wiped sweat from his brow, breathing heavily. "Your system is incredible, Your Majesty." But it lacked anticipation. Machines cannot see what hasn't happened yet. Humans, we can. We observe, we experiment, we take risks. That is how we survive, and that is why your system is stronger now than before. The Queen was silent for a moment, considering his words. "You speak boldly, human," she said finally. "And yet, the results are undeniable. Perhaps your species is more valuable than I imagined." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. This was not just praise, it was recognition. A rare acknowledgement that humans could compete with the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Not by brute force, but by ingenuity. But Marcus knew the trial was not over. The Queen had said as much. His skills had earned him recognition, but she would not grant trust so easily. "Prepare yourself, human," the Queen continued. "Your next task will not only test skill, but judgment. You will face a situation that requires more than technical knowledge, it will require strategy, adaptability, and courage. Fail, and the consequences will be severe." Marcus nodded. He felt a surge of excitement. This was what humans were made for: uncertainty, challenge, danger. It was not the machinery itself that fascinated him, it was the opportunity to think, to act, to find solutions no one else could. The chamber shifted, panels sliding open to reveal a new section of the mothership. It was larger, darker, and filled with even more complex systems. At the center, a massive holographic display projected a simulation of the fleet, showing energy flows, supply lines, and operational nodes. Something was wrong. The simulation showed instability in the outer defenses, and Marcus realized with a start that the flaw was not only inside the ship, it affected the entire fleet. "This is it," he muttered. "The real test." The Queen's voice resonated around him. "You see the vulnerability. Now act, human. Stabilize the system, or watch as your ingenuity fails." Marcus stepped forward, studying the display. He had no immediate solution. The problem was not purely technical. It required strategic thinking, coordination, and timing. The alien engineers had failed here not because they lacked knowledge, but because they approached the problem in rigid patterns. Marcus had one advantage: creativity. He analyzed the flows, tracing each conduit, and realized that small adjustments could ripple across the system to stabilize the fleet. But they had to be precise, carefully calculated, and executed in perfect order. One mistake could cascade into disaster. With careful hands and a focused mind, Marcus began making the adjustments. He rerouted energy, synchronized nodes, and created temporary buffers to absorb excess power. The holograms responded, the streams flowing smoothly as the system began to stabilize. Finally, after tense moments that felt like hours, the simulation showed complete stability. Marcus stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. He had not just repaired the mothership, he had prevented disaster across the fleet. The chamber was silent. Then the Queen's voice echoed, full of respect. "You have proven it, human. Not only skill, but foresight. You have demonstrated the value of your species. Perhaps, in the galaxy, humans are not merely fragile or limited, but capable of greatness. Marcus smiled faintly, relief washing over him. He had passed the trial, earned the Queen's admiration, and demonstrated what humans could do when faced with impossible challenges. And as he looked around the humming, alive chamber of the mothership, Marcus realized something profound. Humans were not the strongest, the fastest, or the most numerous, but when faced with the unknown, they could see solutions others could not. That was the true advantage. The Queen's presence lingered, her curiosity now tinged with respect. Marcus knew the final trial was approaching, but for the first time, he felt confident that humans could not only survive in the galaxy, but thrive. And somewhere, deep within the ship, the Queen observed silently, this human may indeed reshape what we know of ingenuity and courage. How far will he go? The chamber was quiet, almost unnaturally so, as Marcus Kane stood in the center. The holographic displays had dimmed, leaving only the soft glow of the mothership's energy flowing beneath the floor. He was exhausted, every muscle in his body tense from hours of intense work. Yet he felt something more profound than fatigue, a sense of accomplishment, a certainty that humanity had just taken a step into the wider galaxy in a way no one had imagined. The Queen's presence filled the chamber. Marcus could feel her attention, a subtle pressure that made the very air seem alive. You have done more than stabilize systems, she said, her voice resonant and calm. You have prevented disaster, preserved the fleet, and demonstrated foresight. You have proven that humans are not merely fragile beings. You are remarkable. Marcus bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I believed was necessary. My goal was to protect your ship and your people. The Queen's luminescent eyes shifted, observing him as if weighing every thought, every action. Remarkable is a term rarely applied to outsiders and never to your kind. Yet your ingenuity, your courage, and your resolve are undeniable. You have shown qualities that even my most advanced engineers lack: adaptability, intuition, and bold thinking. Marcus straightened. Humans have always survived through ingenuity. We find solutions where others see only limits. That is how we progress. For a long moment, the Queen did not speak. The soft hum of the ship filled the silence. Then, slowly, she nodded. Your species may indeed hold value beyond what we imagined. You have earned my respect, human, not by strength, nor by numbers, but by qualities we have long overlooked. A soft vibration pulsed through the chamber, and Marcus realized it was the Queen's acknowledgement, a physical echo of her approval. He felt a warmth in the air, a subtle shift in the atmosphere, as if the entire ship was recognizing his achievement. You will not leave this chamber empty-handed, the Queen continued. I grant you access to the central archives, the knowledge of our technology, and the right to consult with my engineers. You are not merely tolerated, you are recognized as a valuable contributor. Marcus's eyes widened. Access to the archives meant centuries of knowledge, technology far beyond human understanding. But more than that, it was recognition, a declaration that humanity had a place among the galaxy's advanced civilizations. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said, his voice steady. I promise to use this knowledge wisely, not for conquest, but for understanding and cooperation. The Queen tilted her head slightly. Considering him, your promise is noted. Humans are capable of great good, and also great chaos. But your actions today prove that choice can shape potential. You have chosen wisely. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. It was not pride he felt, it was a sense of duty fulfilled. Humanity had been underestimated for millennia, dismissed as fragile and insignificant. Yet here he was, standing in the presence of one of the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Having saved her fleet and earned her trust, you have faced the impossible, the Queen continued. And yet you emerged successful. Tell me, human, what drives your species to risk so much? Marcus paused. He had asked himself that question many times, but now, in the Queen's presence, it demanded an answer. We take risks because we have to, he said finally. Because survival alone is not enough. We strive to understand, to grow, to see what no one else has seen. Fear can stop us, but curiosity drives us. And true courage lets us act when others hesitate. The Queen's glowing eyes seemed to shimmer with a new emotion, something Marcus could not name. Curiosity and courage, she mused. Perhaps that is why humans endure where others fail. You are dangerous, not because of power, but because of potential. That is rare, Marcus nodded. Potential can be guided. With knowledge and understanding, humans can accomplish remarkable things. And I hope to show that to your people as well, to build trust between our species. The Queen remained silent, letting her presence fill the room. Marcus felt the weight of her observation, but he did not flinch. For the first time, he sensed something more than curiosity. He sensed respect, deep and genuine, unspoken but undeniable. Very well, she said finally. You will have your chance. Work with my engineers. Learn our methods, our history, and our technology. Show that humans can rise not by force, but by ingenuity. Prove that your species is not just a footnote in the galaxy, but a participant in its future. Marcus's heart lifted. He had survived the trials, earned respect, and now had a chance to shape the way humans were seen across the stars. I will not disappoint you, he said, or your people. The Queen's luminescent form shifted slightly, her gaze still upon him. Humans are curious, inventive, and bold. Perhaps that is why you thrive despite weakness. Perhaps it is also why you may one day stand as equals among the stars. Marcus felt a swell of pride, tempered by humility. This was not just personal recognition, it was a victory for all of humanity. He had demonstrated that even a single human could make a difference, could solve problems that others could not, and could earn the respect of beings who had been considered untouchable for centuries. Suddenly, a subtle vibration pulsed through the chamber. The Queen's holographic displays lit up, showing the fleet in full operation. Marcus saw that his adjustments had not only stabilized the mothership, but had improved efficiency across the entire fleet. The human touch had enhanced alien systems, showing innovation and adaptability. It appears your species can improve upon perfection, the Queen observed. This is unprecedented. Marcus chuckled softly. We try our best, Your Majesty, and sometimes we learn from what we do, even if we fail along the way. But when we succeed, it can be remarkable. The Queen seemed to consider this, her glow pulsating rhythmically. Indeed, you have proven that humans are not limited by the expectations of others. Your creativity and courage have saved lives and preserved knowledge. You have done more than survive, you have excelled. Marcus allowed himself a quiet moment of satisfaction, but he knew the work was only beginning. Earning respect was one thing, maintaining it was another. He would need to continue proving himself, not only to the Queen but to all those who doubted humans. You will remain aboard this ship for now, the Queen said, her voice firm but fair. You will work with my engineers, learn from our archives, and continue to demonstrate the value of your species. Should you fail to uphold the trust you have earned, consequences will be swift. But should you succeed, she did not finish the sentence, but Marcus understood. Success would elevate humans in the eyes of the galaxy. It would prove that they were not merely fragile observers, but participants capable of shaping events on a cosmic scale. Marcus nodded, determination burning in his chest. I will succeed, and I will show your people that humans are more than they expect. The Queen's glow dimmed slightly, a sign of her acknowledgement. Then go forth, human. Learn, teach, prove that potential matters more than expectation. The galaxy is vast, and your species may yet change it. Marcus stepped back, letting the weight of her words settle. He looked around the chamber, seeing the intricate, living machinery of the mothership in a new light. It was not only a marvel of engineering, it was a testament to what intelligence and creativity could achieve. And now, humans were part of that story, for the first time. Marcus felt that humanity's place among the stars was not just possible, it was inevitable. Humans were adaptable, creative, and courageous. They could rise to challenges that others would consider impossible. And in the process, they could earn respect, not through fear or power, but through ingenuity and heart. As he turned to leave the chamber, Marcus caught one last glance from the Queen. Her luminescent form radiated an emotion he could only describe as cautious admiration. She had tested him, observed him, and now recognized the value of a human mind. The trials were over. The respect had been earned. And for Marcus Kane, that respect was not just personal, it was a beacon for all of humanity. He walked toward the ship's central hub, ready to continue his work, to learn, and to teach. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he also knew one undeniable truth. Humans could stand among the stars, and when they did, they could change the universe. The Queen's voice echoed one final time, softer now, almost thoughtful. Perhaps, in time, your species will teach us as much as it learns from us. That is the true measure of value. Marcus smiled to himself, filled with quiet determination. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Now, the galaxy would see their potential and it would be unforgettable. The chamber hummed around him, alive and vibrant. Marcus stepped forward, ready to shape the future, knowing that the courage, ingenuity, and adaptability of his species had been recognized at last. And somewhere, deep within the vastness of the mothership, the alien queen observed silently, "The humans are not what I expected. Perhaps they are exactly what the galaxy needs."